This is the worst of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
At some point during this show today, I imagine we will get to the big things that happened in basketball last night. LeBron did the things Stugotz told you he was going to do, because every once in a while, LeBron has to remind everyone. But before we get to what happened in sports yesterday, and before we get to the idea that Stugotz before the show was talking to me about, which is, if Mike Golic is telling you something is funny, is it funny? I want that on the poll at Le Batard Show, because he likes something that we're doing around here, and I think we need to discontinue it. And so that's where the line is for us, but I don't know. Maybe that's not where the line should be for us. If Mike Golic is finding the bit funny, is it funny? Just put it on the poll and do what you will with it. Before we get to that, though, I need to get to this story, Stugotz, because I need this to be real. I don't know what's in front of me, if it's real or not, but I want it to be real, and I want it to be real in the ways that would excite our audience. Brent Musburger has sent out a tweet.
Oh, no.
It's always dangerous.
Oh, no. He fell for the internet again.
Oh, no.
God, he's getting so old.
No.
Was there a shark?
No, hold on a second.
Please
Hold
tell
on.
me there wasn't a shark in a mall.
No, listen to me. I don't want to fall for the internet again. This is what I want to happen. I want Brent Musburger to have a legitimate feud with Jim Brockmire, the IFC character, and not know it's Brockmire. How? Please tell me this isn't an internet fraud. Please tell me that somewhere in your imagination this tweet can be real, that Brent Musburger would actually go to Twitter. Stugotz, we've been talking about Musburger. He's been falling apart for years. He's in Vegas. He'll bury you in the sand somewhere. He will if you cross him.
It can absolutely be real in your imagination.
He doesn't care about ESPN. He doesn't care about leaving broadcasting. Brent Musburger wanted to be closer to the brothels, man, because he's dirty. And Brent Musburger seems to have sent out a tweet. I'm falling for it.
Yeah, you fell for it. You think that there's a legit beef between a character and Brent Musburger,
but don't you think it could be? Like, don't you think it within the realm of possibility that Brent Musburger, given what his career arc has been, this was the guy at the center of sports television for many decades. The fact that he has now just sort of walked away and been like, I'm going to the brothel, baby, and I'm going to get into gambling, is one of the amazing. It's like seeing Costas do it. It's almost like seeing Peter Jennings do it.
Right. I don't want to assume the audience knows what we're talking about. So why don't we read the tweets and give the people the exchange, and they can make up their minds for themselves.
Probably something we'll see Al Michaels doing pretty soon, right? I'm just guessing. I mean, Vegas seems like a pretty good landing spot for Michaels.
Okay, but who is the broadcaster that you'd shrug your shoulders on? Because this is in the name of the history of broadcasting, sports broadcasting, the name Brent Musburger, how high is it? You've got every name in the history of people who have spoken into microphones about sporting events. I give you all the names you can choose from there. How many other than Cosell and Costas are you saying flatly are bigger than Musburger in the just resume?
Not many. I mean, if any, to be honest with you.
Big game resume. But he's gone off the deep end. Like he is dirty, man. He's been dirty, and you knew it when he was calling the games, and he was always referring to the point spread.
Here's a tweet that caught your attention. Yo, Brockmire. Not the common spelling of Brockmire, by the way.
Yo, Buckmeyer is what it says here.
Yeah, yo, Buckmire, or whatever. Saw your pathetic performance on the Eisen show. That kind of stings, because we've been giving him such a great platform. The Eisen show, that's the only thing. Yeah. I'm surprised we're not Brett Musburger's type of show. Either way,
shocking.
Your ex whispered to me you always screamed for all the Tostitos prematurely. Oh boy, yeah. Come to Vegas, punk, and meet my VSIN guys in the desert. My buddy Ray Donovan, fictional character. We'll drive you around, slime ball.
Oh, I fell for it. I am getting old.
Yeah.
You know that Ray Donovan's a fake
Yeah,
character.
I know. It's Liam Schreiber, right? Or am I going to get fined?
Liv. Yeah.
I did. See, look at that. I knew it. I was saying, or am I going to get fined for that? And of course, I got his name wrong because I keep getting older.
What'd you say? Let's hear it one more time.
I said Liam Schreiber.
No, it's not Liam.
No, I know. Stugotz already corrected me.
Well, Stugotz said Liv Schreiber, which is also wrong.
Well, how much is the fine? How much is the fine?
Schreiber. Allison says it's a lot because she's a huge fan of Schreiber's.
Okay, well, okay. I know who Ray Donovan is.
Do you?
Do you know he's fake,
Did
though?
you know that the tweet was not about a real person? In fact, there isn't a single real person mentioned.
Look, I got fooled. Right. I'm going to just admit it to everybody.
Well, except for Lizen. He's real.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That one still sings.
Yeah, nice. How do we get Brockmeyer to ruin sports? How do we help Hank Azaria and Jim Brockmeyer ruin sports broadcasting?
All right, get the bucket of Crusades out and just add it to it.
Yes.
What else is in there?
Lately.
What else is in there?
Bucket of Crusades.
Parades. There's the last segment of the local hour where we're trying to decide which victim of a tragedy we're going to help.
Yeah.
All right. So then let's just talk about LeBron.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, he is. He did that thing last night. Yeah,
he's good at playing basketball.
Yeah, he's a basketball player.
46 points.
NBA.
Yeah. He was up 16-1 by himself, meaning it was LeBron 16, Pacers 1 at one point last night. He was up 13-0 at one point. This is what he does, Dan. It's not time. You'll know when it's time. I'll tell you when it's time. LeBron's going to bow out at some point during this postseason, just not yet. But I will tell you a couple of games in advance of when he's going to do it, because I know. We'll know.
He has known. Every time, man, Stugotz has been right for so long, for a long time here. Now, ever since that thing he said about Pat Riley failing Dwayne Wade, we'll go back there in a second. He's been right about almost everything. Every LeBron move, never mind what Stephen A. or Windhorst report. If Stugotz tells you something is happening with LeBron, that's the thing that's happening. Whether it's a move to another team, whether it's a whisper to Kawhi Leonard, whether it's dropping 46 on the Pacers last night. But Stugotz was wrong before he was right. So let's go back to that time he was wrong, right before LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh joined Pat Riley in Miami for the super team of 4 years that revolutionized the sport. Here's what Stugotz said days before.
Has Pat Riley failed Dwayne Wade? Seriously. Has Riley and the organization, because Dan, all these other teams, all the other contenders went out and made moves, and the Heat haven't done a single thing. What have they done for Dwayne Wade? They got him Jermaine O'Neal, a broken Jermaine O'Neal. He's going to leave here, and he should leave here.
They got him Shaq?
Yeah.
And a championship?
Since then. Let's sell him on this notion of all these guys we're going to get next year. None of these guys want to come here. None of them. He's failed, Dwayne Wade. Failed the fans. Failed the city.
Again, days later.
Yeah. I mean, but at that time, I was right. At that particular moment in time.
At that moment, when they had an empty roster.
I didn't know LeBron was coming and Wade. I didn't know Riley was going to do all that for Dwayne Wade. But at the time.
Right. You didn't have the result.
Yes.
But anyways, last night, but what's happened since then, Stugotz is famous for playing the result. It's always the thing that he does. But what I'm telling you, as it regards LeBron James, he doesn't play the result. He tells you what the result is going to be, and then that is the result. Since that time, when Stugotz was wrong, if he tells you LeBron's going to put up 46 tonight on the Pacers to remind him and everyone else X. LeBron's going to do this to Steph Curry tonight to remind him and everyone else X. This is one of the most criticized athletes of our time. This is one of the hardest to please critics in the history of sports. And every time Stugotz is right about this is the night LeBron throws that game in your face and it feels like you've been urinated on.
I'm an expert on LeBron. Listen, he's calculated and I'm an expert in being calculated. And that's the deal. That's why I know him so well. I mean, the LeBron is as strong, the Stugotz is as strong in LeBron as any athlete out there. I'm telling you. He is me, and I am him.
I don't know what you're talking about. You wouldn't have.
You are not him.
You would not have scored 46 points in a game last night.
If I get enough looks from the 3-point line, man, maybe. You know, Dan, I keep telling you 6 threes and a half, Long Island record. I'm not certain if it's still standing, but it's definitely right at the top. I mean, if I get enough open looks, LeBron drives to the paint, kicks it out to me enough times, perhaps I get 46 points in a game. I'm just saying, he's me, I'm him. That's it. We're the same person.
6 threes gives you 18 points.
That's right.
I know, but I'm thinking, maybe a 10.
Well, that's one half. He had set the record in the half, so yeah, just put up 10 threes, and that still doesn't get you there.
Also, you're LeBron, but you're depending on LeBron to get the ball out to you.
That's right.
Maybe not on the court, but certainly off the court. LeBron, you are me, and I am you. Good luck with that. It worked out well for him, and it's worked out great for me. I mean, I'm sitting here, right? I'm next to Dan at ESPN, got all these platforms, making a pile of money. I mean, sometimes being calculated pays off. In fact, just about every time being calculated pays off. He's going to win a championship this year.
What?
I'm telling you.
Wait,
that's today's feeling.
Wait a minute. No,
that could change in an hour.
That was the vibe that you caught after they eked out a 3-point win.
I want to tell you why.
To not go down 0-2.
Shooting wide open.
I want to tell you why.
For the tie.
He's going to be a free agent. Okay. So what you don't want to do is bow out first round, second round, because then people start to question, whoa, can LeBron get my team to the NBA Finals anymore? They start to question that, so he's not going to do that.
You realize that your take previous to this was
he doesn't realize that.
That was then, this is now, and it might change again next segment. But the feeling I have right this second is LeBron champion.
This is how Stugotz does it when he gets moving like this. He's got 10 sausage links. They're his fingers, and he throws them all in your face while just giving all of his opinions. None of them match up. None of them are consistent. They all disagree with each other.
But one of them will be right.
And he just throws 10 sausage fingers in your face, and 46 points, LeBron makes him right.
The only thing consistent is the size of each individual finger. It's amazing. They're all the same size.
They are, but one of these fingers is going to be right. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Home Insurance. Protecting your small business is a big deal. Cover what you've worked so hard for. Visit ProgressiveCommercial.com today. They are. They're all the same size. It is so odd, man. They're the same. How is my pinky the same size as my thumb? Isn't the index finger supposed to be the biggest of the fingers? It's smaller than my pinky, actually. You see that? My pinky should be where my index finger should be, and my index finger should be where my pinky is. What's going on with me?
Don Le Batard.
Never going to stop. I am what I am, man. I'm 44 years old. I ain't changing.
Stugotz.
Why change now? It's worked. Here I am. Sitting next to you. Filthy rich.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I suppose at some point during the show today, Mike, you can find me somebody. Maybe it'll be Kevin Arnovitz who can explain it to me. Somebody who's going to come up on the show today and explain to me how basketball is changing at such a rapid rate that when I see Karl Anthony Towns play last night and play in this series, and I see a human being in Karl Anthony Towns that I couldn't have imagined even as recently as 10 years ago. That size, that skill set, that age, that athletic, able to play inside and outside. And that the game has evolved so quickly that in the last 2 games, it's made me wonder, even though Houston's been better than Minnesota all season, it's made me wonder, as Karl Anthony Towns can't get anything together, are these small people who shoot threes changing the game so quickly that even the Karl Anthony Towns of the world need to get better to become Anthony Davis?
Right. It's a good question, but I will say that the Rockets have a guy that can guard him on the perimeter. Offensively, Capella can't shoot the three, but he's athletic enough to guard a guy like Karl Anthony Towns all the way out to the 3-point line.
I know, but what
he's so important to that team.
But when I'm watching Capella against Karl Anthony Towns, I'm watching a different kind of basketball than I've ever. For the last 4 decades of basketball don't matter compared to that style of basketball, to the idea that a Joel Embiid can exist physically as a human being, that he could be in some ways the size and strength of Shaq, but he's not playing Shaq's game. He's sitting there roaming around the perimeter as well. And so there was one clear out on LeBron last night, a clear out where they just spread everyone out, and LeBron is and there is no chance that LeBron is going to shoot a jumper the way the floor has been spaced. He's going to the rim. He's just simply deciding how he's going to take this one mismatch and take it to the rim. And it was Sabonis on him. That's how now you can imagine what's going to happen there. It's just Sabonis grabbing LeBron by the neck because he's at the rim. There was no risk of a jump shot. The people are getting so giant in this sport and evolving so far beyond where the sport has been, Stugotz, that you're talking about basketball being completely different from what it was even 10 years ago. And I'd like to understand it a little better, because how can I be sitting there wondering last night if Karl Anthony Towns is being eliminated in that game because the Rockets just do threes better, if they just do spacing, if they're moving too fast. They're doing what the Sixers are doing to Hassan Whiteside by putting Ilyasova out there and taking out Amir Johnson, where you're like, wait a minute, Whiteside doesn't matter anymore?
Right.
Whiteside's a max player who 2 years ago, a couple of teams were saying you give him max money because he's a 7-footer who's athletic. Oh, that style. Never mind. It's all Steph Curry now.
But you like today's style, do you not? Like, you're enjoying the NBA more than you ever have, right?
And so are others, incidentally. The ratings are huge.
Massive. They were up, I think, just from last weekend, they were up 17% from the year before.
You know why it's this popular beyond the soap opera stuff is you are watching Space Jam. You're watching extraterrestrials play basketball. Like this, there is no stopping James Harden. There is no stopping LeBron James. Even on the nights James Harden is bad, there's no stopping Chris Paul.
I truly wonder how much conversation there's been in the league office to do something about the court size, because these players have evolved and the game has changed so much aesthetically. I mean, it's not without precedent. Soccer pitches have changed in size.
But do you want it to change? Because it does. Why would they change it now? It's getting more and more popular when you've got
for one, it looks unhealthy. I'm afraid every time LeBron goes to the rim. I mean, we saw what happened with Paul George that one time. I know that's an isolated incident, but stuff like that's going to keep happening. People are too close to the court. These guys are so big and fast.
But the idea that someone like LeBron can exist, he's Michael Jordan's skill set, but 60 or 70 pounds heavier. And that you ISO him on Sabonis, whose father was one of our friendly monsters, who comes from the DNA genes of, I am a 6'10" human being and have been athletic all my life. And mismatch, it's LeBron on, the DNA of the friendly giant.
I never have chance to be in the draft, and Thomas give me chance to be there inside and see what happens.
Adorable, I mean.
Now to the good stuff.
I mean, what do you think is going to happen? It's Sabonis, and either LeBron's neck is going to hit the rim, or Sabonis is going to grab his neck, and there's going to be a flagrant foul. And because you cannot. What can stop LeBron going to the basket? What one guy isolated can do anything with LeBron?
JJ Barea.
That is correct. I'm always hungry. Seriously. I still remember it, too. I don't understand what I was seeing 7 years ago. He posted up J.J. Barea and couldn't move after that.
The two guys he's had trouble with, Barea and Hibbert. Hibbert's out of the league.
It's really strange. He was practicing floaters in the gym, afraid of Hibbert.
Honestly, if someone wants to win the East, they need to call Roy Hibbert.
Right. No,
trade for J.J.
No, how about this? I'll tell you what kind of idiot I am. How about this? I was building teams around Hibbert 4 or 5 years ago just because LeBron was shooting floaters in the gym. You got to get Hibbert maxed out.
I forgot that he spent time working on the floater in the gym. Didn't he spend a summer with Hakeem Olajuwon working on the low post game because he couldn't post up JJ Barea?
That's right. That is correct.
Verticality was a part of our vernacular.
That was amazing. What an amazing time. We miss him so much down here in Miami.
Don Batard,
who sounds like the friendliest of the monsters here. Is it Al Jefferson? Calais Campbell?
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes. Or is it Arvydas Sabonis?
I never have chance to be in the draft.
Stugotz.
Very difficult vote. We've never had a poll harder than this one. It's the hardest poll in the history of polling.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app. Join and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. Here's your SportsCenter update. Kevin Love has a partially torn ligament in his thumb, but Tyronn Lue says he'll be ready for Game 3 tomorrow. The Chiefs will play the Rams in Mexico for Monday Night Football, November 19th. The NFL will announce the regular season schedule today. It's actually tonight. You excited, Mike? 8 o'clock, Trey Winga. You gonna watch that thing? I'll be all over it. Split screen, little heat, little this, little NFL schedule. Hal Winga. Whew. He's got some good gigs, that guy. And finally, Nicolas Cage plans to quit acting in 3 or 4 years.
What?
Listen, I don't want to tell you about Kevin Love, man. The guy always is getting hurt, and that's why LeBron's going to leave there, because he needs a number 2. Kyrie's no longer there. Kevin Love's supposed to be the number 2. But Kevin Love, I'm certain, Dan, that Kevin Love leads NBA history in amount of injuries to his fingers. I'm telling you, the fingers are always hurting, man. Yeah, it's pretty important to play basketball, but it's his non-shooting hand, so that's why I'll play in Game 3. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
So something awkward happened on television last night, and I'm going to tell you how I experienced it. So LeBron James has a monster game. 46 points was amazing. LeBron James is the biggest athlete in America. He is Michael Jordan in real time. LeBron James is the most important thing in the sports universe. And he had one of those LeBron James games that shakes the core of sports. And then afterward, he's being interviewed. And in the middle of that interview, after that game about making big shots, in the middle of that, he was asked a question that delivered the news to me that Greg Popovich's wife had passed away. I did not know before that question that was the news that she was delivering. And my reaction, without even facing the television, I had my back to the television. My reaction was to wince and be like, ooh, not just because of that news. Like, what's that question doing there?
Right.
I just became very uncomfortable.
In the absence of any of the details, I think just about everyone did, right? Because I was watching it with my wife, and she said to me, wow, LeBron was just put in a bad spot there. That's a tough thing for him to handle, right?
Well, and so let's just listen to this interview here, because that's how I experienced it. And I think many of you probably experienced some portion of this is like, why are we asking that question there? And yes, LeBron did bail out the question. There are no bad questions, Stugotz. It depends on the answer, which way we're going to go. Because if LeBron had stormed off, then it would have been like a controversy or something. But instead, LeBron bailed her out. LeBron, by getting emotional, here's the interview so you can hear it for yourself.
LeBron, during this game, we got the really devastating news. The Spurs announced that Coach Popovich's wife, officially passed away. I know you're close with Pop. Any words or thoughts you'd like to share with him?
I mean, I'm a huge Pop fan. I love Pop. That's such a tragedy, and my best wishes goes out to Pop and his family. I know that's devastating news, and it's just a lot. I mean, the NBA family, we all stick together. I know we compete every night, but something like this happens, it puts everything in perspective. So, I send my well wishes and my prayers up to the heavens above. I know the man above never makes a mistake, even when you sometimes have to ask why. But that's just terrible news, and best of luck to Pop, man, and everybody in San Antonio, the whole Spurs family. That's all I can say, Ali.
I mean, odd music to have in the background of what was clearly an emotional LeBron James. You haven't seen him cry very much, right? I don't think we've seen him do a lot of crying. I thought he was going to cry when he won that first title because of how hard everything was to get there. But how many times have you seen LeBron cry on television?
That's the first time I can recall.
Any of you? Are there other times where... And so he went on the uninterrupted after that game, because I guess most of you probably felt, most of you, how did you guys experience this? Did any of you think that the question was misplaced? And I'm rarely the guy who's media critic guy, or I want to be able to ask whatever questions I want. That sound, by the way, was from Turner. I want to be able to ask whatever questions I want in the name of journalism. I sometimes conduct really terrible interviews because of that. Like, just sort of like, let me just ask a bunch of questions. I'm the journalist here. And so you ask the question in the middle of that. Did any of you have that reaction to the asking of the question, whether it was appropriate or not?
Yeah, I had that reaction. And I was thinking from a naive place because I don't know what sort of details went around that, but I winced when I heard the question.
And none of us knew who Popovich's wife, or none of us in the audience, right? The NBA family is very tight-knit because this then became a eulogy for Greg Popovich's wife. I didn't know until that moment that she had been sick or that she had passed away. And so we were now eulogizing on television someone that many of us didn't know. The NBA was grieving. The NBA was grieving publicly. Ernie Johnson's going to be on today. The NBA was grieving publicly because of the connection to Greg Popovich and the simple humanity in anyone can understand losing the person you love. Like that reaches across everything, no matter you hate a guy for his politics, you hate the way his face looks, whatever. Like that. Sure. Everyone can feel that one. But I was surprised to see it in the middle of my playoff basketball yesterday from a woman that I had not seen until that moment. And the only picture they could find of her was from 20 years ago, a Popovich who didn't look like, midlife crisis Santa the way that he looks now.
I was thinking it was a misplaced question, and you're putting LeBron in a really tricky spot there as the interview was going on. I learned afterwards from Ernie Johnson that they actually had a conversation beforehand, and she asked LeBron, hey, can I ask you about this? And he said, that's fine.
Okay, so does that change matters for you, that he wasn't blindsided by it?
It should change, because I think that's the feeling everyone had. Man, it's blindsiding to LeBron to ask him this question, especially if he has no prior knowledge of what's going on.
After LeBron went to uninterrupted, I felt a lot better about the situation.
Well, they had also been asking a lot of coaches and players throughout the league also. So it wasn't just LeBron that got that question. And LeBron publicly has a lot of admiration for Greg. So there's a relationship there. He may have known her and maybe he wanted to have an opportunity to say something.
Okay, well, let's see what the uninterrupted says here, because I didn't even know that. I didn't know that questions were cleared with LeBron. I don't know why we're doing that one. But maybe on that one, that is a simple courtesy.
Dan, yeah.
No, maybe on that one, that is one, but usually you don't do that. You don't allow the interview subject to have the control of the moment that way by saying, you ask them questions in real time. That's part of the transaction. Let's hear LeBron explain this on the uninterrupted.
I'm not on social media right now, but I was made aware through some friends through text that a question was asked to me post game, and a lot of people feel like I was blindsided. That is absolutely false. Allie LaForce told me that she was going to ask me the question and if it was okay. And once I started talking about it, once we were on air, actually my emotions just kind of took over. And that was just my emotions coming straight from my heart about the late Aaron, Popovich. It's unfortunate, it's a tragic loss. My thoughts, my prayers, once again goes out to the Popovich family, to Greg, to the Spurs family, to, the whole Spurs fan base. And also, guys, please get off Allie LaForce's back, because she followed the proper protocol and she warned me. So get off her back, man. She's very professional, and she does a great job at her work.
Now, this is where LeBron James, this is where he is the modern-day Ali, right? Because he just did, in 2018, in defense of a woman who they were coming for, LeBron just kept everybody off of her by getting on social media in a way he doesn't want to, in a site that he profits off of, but getting there and saying to everybody, back off her. He's protecting her and preventing that from becoming a situation that would have been very unpleasant for her. That's legitimate social leadership right there. Him deciding to do that, because there was I read a tweet from a woman, and forgive me for not knowing who it is off the top of my head, but she said, I was in a media scrum one time and one of the men pushed me out of the way, and LeBron stopped what he was saying and said, you say I'm sorry to her. Like, we are not our worst public moments. LeBron will fall in it. There will be controversies. He will do television shows that the money will get donated to charity, and he will become infamous in America. But LeBron does a lot of stuff like that, and he does a lot of stuff in Akron for people nobody else cares about. So if you wanted to define LeBron as losing 6 times in the finals, choker, whatever guy, LeBron sprinkles a lot of that for a guy who's been famous since he's 15 years old. And Drew Barrymore was in cocaine rehab at 11 because child fame can be so difficult. And that dude has become that man in a way that has a lot of those moments.
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person. Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Don Le Batard. Give us as much as you can here. Take us up to the dramatic first pitch, Billy.
Jose Urena standing at the back of the mound. He reaches down. He's rubbing some dirt and rosin on his hands. And here we go.
Stugotz.
And the pitch. Oh, God, a home run on the first pitch of the game. Oh, my God.
Welcome, Derek Jeter. And that concludes our Marlins coverage for the season.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Arnovitz, for those of you who do not know, is an exceptional NBA writer. He was at the middle of one of the most creative projects ESPN has ever done, all that true hoop basketball stuff that helped, at least in part, make basketball more popular. It was very creative. ESPN killed it. That was dumb. So Kevin Arnovitz comes on with us here and for years has given us great information. He's really super informed. So maybe you can explain to me, Kevin, please explain to me, why Karl Anthony Towns is out there in the last couple of games, this extraterrestrial that looks unlike anyone you could have imagined even 6 years ago or 5 years ago in skill set, that this guy can't do anything because the Houston Rockets are so fast from outside that they've changed all the game's math.
He's getting pushed off his spots, and it's fascinating to see this 7-footer. I mean, he's a little doughy. I mean, he's, P.J. Tucker, muscle for muscle, is just like bullying him. And it's really strange. And then he has this crutch. So one of the blessings of Karl Anthony Towns is the guy can shoot from three. One of the curses is there is an inclination to sort of retreat there as your safe space. And you'll see him kind of get pushed off the block. And, okay, now he goes and stands in the corner. And so it might be the paralysis of just too many skills and with a combination of just a physical – he's physically intimidated by Tucker, who's just mean.
Wait a minute. What kind of analysis is that, Arnovitz, given the way that I set you up there? Like, hold on a second. Hold on. It's great analysis. You're telling me that, and I love your analysis, by the way. You're telling me that Karl Anthony Towns finds P.J. Tucker mean.
Like, I mean, did you see? I mean, you saw him get pushed off the spot. I mean, the guy is being completely manhandled.
You're right.
He's just getting manhandled. I mean, I don't know that there's anything.
Arnovitz, I've been waiting for this Kevin Arnovitz my entire life, and no numbers, no nothing. Just he's mean.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is P.J. Tucker being mean to Karl Anthony Towns? Is that the analysis?
Well, no, I don't think it's like he's like ghosting him on a text or mean. I don't think this is like the high school cafeteria mean. I just mean like P.J. Tucker is a player of very marginal talent whose value in this league is he's precisely the kind of guy who can intimidate and physically push around a player of much greater talent in who was 4 inches taller, or 5 really, and so that is P.J. Tucker's. It's why the Houston Rockets, a team of marginal defensive ability, goes out this offseason. They don't get another shooter. They get a guy like P.J. Tucker, for the precise reason that there are players with finesse who can get, and I've never liked the soft hard. I mean, I think Dan even had that conversation. Like, I don't love the soft thing. I mean, there's a certain machismo about it, but I do think the game demands certain physical endurance. And if you're a guy who's going to work out of the block, you need to be able to sustain your space. And Towns isn't doing that. He's kind of retreating to the corner, and he's just getting bullied by a guy whose meanness is sort of his defining attribute.
All right, hold on a second about all this P.J. Tucker is mean talk. I need to stop you for a second. I will tell the audience again, you should be reading the things that Kevin Arnovitz is writing because they are super insightful. The coverage is all the things that Zach Lowe is. Kevin Arnovitz has covered this sport for a long time in a way that is really super knowledgeable. But I need to press you on this. Who else is kind of mean? Because when you're doing this with P.J. Tucker, I don't imagine Karl Anthony Towns as being someone who would back down from this guy's kind of mean. That analysis feels like it stinks to me. So tell me who else you view. Tell me.
Are they all mean team?
Yeah, yes, according to you, though, because P.J. Tucker's not on mine.
No, I think the guy is probably a perfectly good dinner partner. I mean, I don't mean like, I mean, mean is just in the context of basketball, in the context of NBA basketball, and I think it's not uncommon for guys of like marginal talent to be able to kind of leverage a certain desire to just kind of be completely intimidating physically. So like Steven Adams, another guy.
That's a good one.
Another guy who's just like, this guy is just nasty. Guy's cake. Like, here's the question: you are an NBA player. Like, there's 10 minutes until the opening horn. Like, you look at your matchup and you're like, oh man, that guy is just going to be a complete, just burden to me.
Okay, but wait, is this different from a glue guy?
Like, that's the criteria.
Is this different from a glue guy? And is it different from, by
the way, Tucker has not been the primary defender entirely. I mean, Capella is kind of part of this too. I mean, it's not, I don't want to suggest, because Tucker, the matchup is, it's not always, I mean, Capella has also been a key part of that.
But Capella's not quite as mean, right? He's not quite as mean,
He's
Capella?
not as mean?
No, the guy's swift. He's swift.
Right.
Oh, he's swift, not mean.
Swift, yeah.
All right, hold on a second.
Swift, not mean.
Athletic, yeah.
Like, I think probably in the 99 percentile of meanness for Swift.
Okay, that's very good. That's a good way to put it.
Kind of,
sure.
Right at kind of the league average.
But is glue guy different than mean guy, different than dark alley guy? Is dark alley guy the same guy?
Yeah.
Yes?
No, glue guy sort of like Battier would be. I don't know that Battier was mean. He was disruptive, and I don't think like Shane's not mean. You know Shane. Shane's not mean, and I don't mean that. And yet it's funny is I think if you said that about a lot of players, they would take it as an insult. Like, what do you mean I'm not mean? Like, meanness is a virtue, right? Like as a player. So he's kind of glue guy. Luke Bahamute, glue, not mean. By the way, great defender. Tucker's just nasty.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that's different. Wait a minute, nasty is different than mean. Wait a minute.
Oh, now we're getting into a semantic debate.
Well, but no, because is it or not? Yes or no?
Like, is nasty like unhygienic?
Well, I mean,
that's Bellinelli.
Yeah,
that's Bellinelli.
That's Bellinelli. Like, nasty is one step after mean. Dan is right. I mean, but that's fine.
Right,
you're doing it for a fact.
But
that's fine.
Adams is also unhygienic.
Yeah. Like David West, Udonis Haslam, those guys
are clean. They smell like soap, but they're dark alley.
All back alley team is totally different.
That's totally different. Arnovitz, help us with this. Help break it down, please.
We need a taxonomy of all of these things. I'm going to have to write this. I mean, some ESPN graphics guys. I mean, this is great. So nasty, mean, and all right. So what is back alley? I want to understand I want to distinguish now.
Wait, you don't understand it. Matt Barnes is back alley. Tony Allen's back alley. Udonis Haslam, David West is back alley. Zebo is back alley with a pool cue. Like, come on.
So there's actually kind of there's a socioeconomic, like how you came up, sort of.
No, just what you haven't left behind. What you haven't left behind. Like, I remember one time when I saw David West square up with Udonis Haslam, I got scared. I was watching it and I got scared. And it wasn't just because they're two big bad men or Brahma bulls. It's because I knew all of their reputations headed into that. That's back alley. That ain't PJ Tucker. Get out of here.
Right. And funny, because like UD is back alley, but I don't consider him mean.
Correct. That's finally, you're getting it. Yes, correct. There's a difference.
I'm getting it. I'm a slow study.
Okay, but help us with it. Keep helping us with it. Who is also mean like PJ Tucker? If Kevin Arnovitz had to vote today for the meanest player in the league by his definition of mean, is it PJ Tucker or is it someone else?
I think it's Tucker because now I'm putting Adams into nasty. Per your new category, right? So I got to move Adams from mean to nasty, which means that opens up a slot on the mean team. I mean, I'm thinking about Patrick Beverly too.
You're considering Beverly. Good one.
Yeah, Beverly. I'm kind of going by position here. And all right, so West. See, you put West in back alley, whereas I would put him kind of the mean intensity.
What?
Like I don't know.
No, you don't understand it again.
I'm going to defer to you. You are a meanologist. You are your anthropology.
Stugotz will tell you how mean I can be.
Yeah, I'm totally deferring here.
You're being mean to Arnovitz right now.
Okay, we'll let him go now. On that note, I'm mean. Thank you, Kevin Arnovitz. It's always good talking to you. He really is excellent. Tell them where they can find you, Kevin. Tell them all the places that they can find Arnovitz on Twitter, everywhere else.
Yeah, all right. I'm on ESPN.com. I published a piece today, or somebody else published it. I wrote it about the Philadelphia 76ers breakfast lecture series in which Robert Covington brings his snake. J.J. Redick talks about simulation theory. And Amir Johnson does an entire presentation about tattoos. And T.J. McConnell will wax for 10 minutes on coffee. And each player takes a turn, and it's kind of become this big thing in Philly. And, you know, they all get along, and it's kumbaya. But this breakfast series has always been a part of it. So I encourage everybody to read. And Joel Embiid is terrified of snakes, apparently. So that's part of the story, too.
All right, excellent.
Did we accomplish anything?
No.
We've just advanced the confusion of the basketball world like 10 degrees.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
All right.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
The NFL draft is next week. Gather your crew together. He's really good. He is really good.
I did learn something. No idea Capella was from Switzerland.
Wow.
He said Swiss, not Swift, right?
Yeah, you guys misunderstood. Big funds for both of you.
Okay.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
The NFL draft is next week. Swiss, you have no money. Those should be fine. I heard Swift as well. We're getting old, Stugotz. The game is starting to pass us by, dude.
He said Swiss?
That's right. He said Capella had to be neutral because he was Swiss, not because he was Swift. I thought, too, that he was saying mean to Swift.
All right. So you going to pay my fine for me?
No. Why do I have to pay your fine?
Because I don't have any money.
That's $3 for you.
Why is that $3? I mean,
because you get a $2 fine. You get a $2 fine for.
It's added to the $6 that you already owe.
I owe $6.
Really? No,
I owe $6.
He's got 2 IOUs.
Right.
He's like in for 20 this week. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any money.
I really have no money.
All right, it's $3.
All right.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Well, it's $9.
Yeah, from yesterday. Now it's a $9 IOU. Thank you.
I'll get it today.
Don Batard.
That was Will Smith's magic wand for a long time. Just get a bunch of things on the screen that people will notice, and I could just be among them. Hell, that's my trick, too. I surround myself with funny-looking and funny-acting people so that people won't notice that I'm kind of dry by comparison. Like all of you weirdos. Like, that's what I do. I'm surrounded by orcs. I'm sitting here blaming Will Smith, and all I'm doing is seeing him right in the mirror.
Stugotz.
I'm jealous now of Will Smith because he did it so much better. I'm just sitting here with you and my dad.
I'm your orc.
Or my dad and a troll.
That's pretty good.
That was good. I mean, I finger pointed him. I've arrived at a point where I'm celebrating jokes against me.
Yes, I just called you a troll, and Stugotz saluted me by pointing one of his sausage fingers at me.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Listen to me. LeBron James had the game last night that ESPN always needs him to have. He had it on Turner, but that's okay. The game we needed him to have so that we could talk about LeBron James things, so that we could all meet the clauses in our contract that give us bonuses for how often we talk about LeBron James around here. And so he had one of those games that makes it free money around here in this contract that ESPN gives everybody, where the more you mention LeBron, the more money you get.
LeBron.
That's right. That's why Stugotz does that. It's why he hates on LeBron. It's not because he hates LeBron. It's because he loves money. Anyway, within the spirit of that, I've gotten sidetracked today because I have missed the easy thing to talk about, which you might think is LeBron, but is not. Guillermo and Allison have been talking about this nose lady for 4 segments, and I've been trying to get to this segment involving this nose lady and everything that Guillermo and Allison have been doing behind the scenes to try and get this nose lady on Highly Questionable and thus on ESPN. It's hard to explain to the audience. Mike doesn't know what I'm talking about. Stugotz doesn't know what I'm talking about. What they did to me on Highly Questionable, Guillermo and Allison the other day, by putting a video. Look, Guillermo's gagging right now, feeling like he's going to vomit. They were trying to put a video on Highly Questionable with the only purpose of the video being to make me throw up on television. So explain yourself, Guillermo. I've been trying to get to this story for 4 segments, and we keep getting distracted. Explain to the people how this nose lady, so they can Google something if they don't mind being disturbed by television.
So Allison does a great job of getting content and videos and sounds, and she'll send us all these things. So there's always stinkers in there, obviously. So she sends me this video, and I'm kind of confused as to why she sent it to me because there's no good audio. So she's like, you need to watch this video. You need to watch this video. And it's a video, what country is it in? Do you know?
She's got an autoimmune disease, okay? The woman's got an autoimmune disease And the video is from another country, and this is television in another country. And we are not mocking this woman. This was television. We were trying to figure out how to talk about it, how to view it without vomiting.
It's like a Today Show type show in another country. And I don't exactly know what it is at first because it wasn't labeled properly or clearly. So I'm watching it, and she's talking about how her nose is a prosthetic nose. And it's
Hold on
molded-
a second. Allison, what are you laughing about? What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing because I remember that Billy almost vomited, and it was funny.
Okay, all right, hold on a second. This is very strange how mean you are to Billy.
No, he deserves it.
Why does he deserve to vomit?
Let him finish the story.
Well, I don't know what I'm getting into when I'm starting to watch this video. I just hear her talking about how she has a prosthetic nose and it's molded after the nose of a woman that she saw, that she said, you have such a beautiful nose. And they made a prosthetic nose so that she could. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then she takes off her nose.
That's right.
And there's a hole in her face.
That's correct.
And I almost vomited everywhere. I have a very weak stomach. Like, I'm not good at watching Saw movies. I can't watch any of this stuff. I have a very,
this was disturbing. This, I wonder how many people.
She could just take off a nose whenever she wants to and put it back on her face whenever she wants to.
Right.
Well, theoretically, she could have different noses, right?
That's right. Yes.
It actually sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I mean...
Oh, here comes the business scam.
No, I mean, imagine you're like... Well, I haven't thought of the business angles yet, but imagine if you're walking through, like Allison. I mean, you're walking through a bathroom and it smells really, really bad. You just take your nose off. You don't smell it anymore.
That's not how that works. What is that? No, you just got a hole in your face walking around the bathroom, of course.
You probably taste it on your tongue, right?
All right, Guillermo, put it on the poll and we'll come back to this. Do you smell more if the nose is removed from your face? And we'll figure out how to talk about this because we haven't... and there's a hole there because I'm not interested in making fun of this woman. We were disgusted by this video, but it was on television, which doesn't give us permission to talk about it?
It sort of wasn't. So my reaction after almost vomiting was, you need to send that to HQ. We need to get Dan to vomit on HQ today.
Right.
So they sent it there and they deemed it not airable.
Well, no, when they aired it to us and showed us the video, my reaction was some form on a comedic show of, hell was that? The hell was that? Woman with a hole in her face.
When Lorenzo, I told him, I said, Lorenzo, get the video ready because we're going to do this on the show. And he said, I am not airing that. You can tell them to go find it. I'm not airing it. So we sent it to Stugotz, who still hasn't seen the video, but he has it there if you want to watch it.
Force Coward Lorenzo to put it on ESPN News Next. You're getting a spoiler alert. Just tell him to figure out a way to get the rights and put it at some point during the show on ESPN News. I want everything we're doing to stop, and all of a sudden, this woman and that nose to appear
or disappear,
whatever the case may be.
Dan Batard.
Creepy as F.
Stugotz.
I had a cat, Schmitty. He died.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Stugotz, during the break, is all fired up. He and Mike Ryan all fired up in a way that I've never understood. If you're not familiar with my journalism, my lofty journalism past, I quit football. A moral and ethical conundrum. It made me quit the industry for a while. I was walking past Jake Long in the wrong draft place, orchestrated for television, NFL draft. Jake Long was the number one pick. He was uninteresting. His whole family was uninteresting. I was just walking behind them. I was questioning my life, my self-worth, journalism, the decisions I'd made, quit the business for a year. Mike and Stugotz continue to love this thing.
Oh, it's the best.
And Mike and Stugotz during the break were talking about Smoke Show, Sean Payton. They were yelling at each other. I was confused. I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit the business.
Right. Listen, Dan, we're a week away. I mean, this is exciting. A week away from a 3-day draft event. I think it's in Chicago this year. Perfect place to hold the draft. I mean, Chicago football draft, right? Unbelievable. But Sean Payton, I'll tell you, because, Dan, you know what they say around this time of year. Don't trust a single word coming out of anyone's mouth. Not a one. And Sean Payton, what he's doing, this guy. Because I'm telling you, in all sports, there is not a face I trust least than Sean Payton. Less, whatever, than Sean Payton's, okay? I trust that face the least. How about that? How about that? But what he said about this quarterback class, you know what he's doing here, Mike? He said none of these quarterbacks. There's not an Andrew Luck. There's not a Peyton Manning. There's not a Drew Brees. None of them. He doesn't see any of them being any good. Want to know why? Sean Payton wants one of these quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
No!
No, he's just trying to drive down their value so he can take them late in the first.
Yeah.
By the way, the NFL draft's not in Chicago. It's in Dallas.
Oh, wow. Even better. Even better. I mean, seriously.
Nice pivot.
No, even better. I mean, listen, when you think football, you think of one city and one team. You think Dallas. You think Dallas
right?
Cowboys. Yeah, you do.
I'm also thinking
put it on the poll.
fine.
Yeah.
All right, Guillermo, put it on the poll. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. When you think football, do you think one city and one team, and that's Dallas?
It was Chicago about a minute ago, but now it's Dallas, man.
But this is a really exciting time, Dan, because now it's a smoke show. We're a week away.
Yeah.
Now is when you light all sorts of fires.
Yeah.
You put out a bunch of misinformation.
Yep.
Agents start getting in the game. There's stories leaking. Saquon Barkley, his agents don't want him to go to Cleveland. You immediately reject that story. Say it was fake news. But maybe you try to decipher what the truth is. How does this affect the top of your draft board? It's amazing right now.
And Sean Payton, who's a perceived quarterback guru, like genius, right? He's the guy. Listen, Breeze is old, and Sean Payton's got, a pick in the first round, but it's way down there. I'm telling you, he's trying to get other teams off of these quarterbacks so he can land one of them.
Yeah.
Any one of them.
Guess what he said? He said, Sean Payton said he wouldn't be surprised if Sam Darnold is the only quarterback left standing in 4 to 5 years. That's a huge indictment, if true. I believe he's trying to get Cleveland to take Sam Darnold because he doesn't think Sam Darnold is good.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please. Is
wow.
is Peyton the
Next
guy?
level.
Is Peyton the guy? Put it on the poll, please. Stugotz is saying Peyton's the guy. I dispute that he's the guy. Who's the guy that makes the guy now? The quarterback whisperer. Is it Peyton or is it someone else?
Did you say the NFL draft was in Chicago last year?
I didn't say that. No.
I think you did. Either way, it was in Philadelphia.
I said it was a Philly last year. I mean, Jaws, Sapa. Listen, Philly, when you think football, I mean, Super Bowl champions, you think Philadelphia, and that's it. That's the only place. Sal Powell, Jaws, Herm Edwards, the entire crew. That's football for you. Philadelphia.
How are we working with this Alpal idea? What's going on? Have you guys made that blossom into anything back there yet? Allison is a big Philadelphia fan. She's from Philadelphia. She's Allison. She's camera shy. She's the opposite of Sal Paolantonio. And she is not quite as vigorous as Sal Paolantonio. She's neurotic. And so what are we doing with this character? Is it Al Pal? Look, have we done anything to create this character of you being the correspondent in Philadelphia? Was it Pal Al? What the hell were your names?
It's Sal Al Paolantonio.
Okay, Sal Al Paolantonio. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we put it on the poll. Should we turn Allison Turner into Philadelphia reporter Sal Al? And so we have to wait to see how the votes come in before we decide if we want to do this.
Okay, that's where we were in this.
Yeah.
So we haven't done anything yet. How's the voting looking right now?
So far, we have a name.
Yeah. I mean, it's overwhelming. They want this. The audience wants
I think we have 3 names, don't we? I think she should refer to herself differently by all 3 names every time so that we don't know what the name is. Which is the name? Chris is our resident tongue twister guy.
I like Al Pal.
So
Al Pal.
That's where I was going.
Yeah,
Al Pal.
Sal Al. I like Al Pal.
Al Paolantonio?
Yeah. I like Al Pal, though. I wasn't done with the draft because I started to do a deep dive into the NFL draft, Mike. And I'm telling you, because you and I'm a Jet fan. Mike is a Cleveland Browns fan. And we have 3 of the top 4 picks. Like, this is as exciting as it gets. But I'm telling you, you control the entire draft. It's going to be fascinating to see what the Browns do. And I'm being serious here. Mike and I love this more than anything on the sports calendar. Well, do you? Because I do.
Well, you love the Masters more than this.
Yeah. That was then. This
and
is
then
now.
you like the Final Four weekend more than that.
Building this up. Yeah. So it's
you also like Super Bowl Sunday, but wish it was Super Bowl Saturday.
It should be. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. It should be. But okay, so it's 5th on my list.
You also like Week 1 of the NFL season.
So it's 6th on my list of things that I like. Like my.
You also love the Midsummer Classic.
7th on my list. So anyway, what I was saying is the Browns 7th on my list. The Browns here. It's going to be so fascinating. Because if they believe that one of these guys is the franchise quarterback, they have to take him at 1. They can't do what everyone's suggesting, which is take Saquon Barkley, maybe the best player in the draft, at 1, and then take the quarterback that is left for them at number 4.
Or they can do what's being discussed
in
league circles.
Yeah.
Taking a quarterback at number 1 and number 4.
I said that first. I did. I said it months ago.
You own that comment?
I do. Yep, and I'm suing anyone else who uses it.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Dan Le Batard.
Give us as much as you can here. Take us up to the dramatic first pitch, Billy.
Jose Urena standing at the back of the mound. He reaches down. He's rubbing some dirt and rosin on his hand. And here we go.
Stugotz.
And the pitch. Oh, God, a home run on the first pitch of the game. Oh, my God.
Welcome, Derek Jeter. And that concludes our Marlins coverage for the season.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. We love Ernie Johnson. Who doesn't love Ernie Johnson? He's going to join us here in just a minute.
Isn't that the truth? Put that on the poll, Guillermo. Who doesn't love Ernie Johnson? That's absolutely right.
Yep. He is the best, and he's going to join us here in just a second on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Joel Embiid is doubtful for Game 3 of the Sixers Heat series. Eltor Messina will coach the Spurs for Game 3 as Greg Popovich goes on bereavement leave. And finally, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced its approval last week of the 5 Ever Transition contact lenses. The contact lenses will automatically adjust to brightness. That is amazing. That's technology right there. Seriously. You hear about that? Contact lenses that will automatically adjust to brightness. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
5 ever? You mean first ever?
What did I say?
You said 5 ever.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move it on here. We are critics. We are not readers. We are not sophisticates. What?
I mean, listen, I'm getting thrown off here because rather than rewriting stories, now I'm going to get fined. We're just crossing them out and rewriting them in pen. I mean, and it's throwing me off. It's confusing me.
Right, $2 for blaming others for the mistake of yours. Ernie Johnson, we'll get to that in a second. I do want to get to the secrets of how it is you become likable when you're Ernie Johnson. That's not allowed. We hate Joe Buck. Like, we hate these people. Why does Ernie Johnson get to be beloved? And so before we do that, though, Utah beat OKC last night. Quinn Snyder broke it down with the only analysis you needed. That series now tied 1-1, and Quinn Snyder, who very much looks like a villain in a movie that's going to foil your superhero, or maybe, he's just a villain. This is what he had to say to analyze that game.
We've said the strength of our team is our team.
Thank you, Quinn. So Ernie Johnson joins us now. TNT's live coverage continues tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, with a pair of Game 3s, 76ers Heat, followed by Warriors Spurs. Thank you, as always, for making time for us. Ernie, how do you stay so lovable? I'm not even kidding. You're not allowed.
No, come on,
No,
Ernie,
it's
stop.
weird. It's weird. The gas bag business, we're polarizing. People hate us. We have political views. We're weird. We're insecure. How do you get to be the beloved one?
Who has anointed me the beloved one?
Mike just did.
I don't know. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate that. And let me say, too, thank you for having me on, because it's been a while. I was on promoting the book on Highly Questionable last year with you, but it's been a while since I've been on the show, so thank you so much for having me. You guys have given me a lot of enjoyment on my drive down to the studio from lovely Brazelton, Georgia.
Well, that's how, Ernie. You're polite.
See, that's what he just did. He didn't really answer my question, but he did without answer. No. Oh, Pshaw, I'm not beloved. Let me compliment you back with all my politeness, and you will see how I trick everyone into liking me.
No, look, just stop. You're making me very uncomfortable with that line of questioning. So I think it's longevity. When you've been around, when you've been sitting in the chair for 28 seasons now, this is my 28th playoff on the NBA on TNT, then I think that has, if you haven't been thrown out by then obviously somebody thinks you're worth keeping.
Well, but wait a minute, though. Seriously, though, Ernie, because you come from a different broadcasting time. Your father, was a broadcaster, and we've been talking about this around here. The idea that Vin Scully, the day of Vin Scully is dead, that 2018, you're not allowed to be the beloved broadcaster anymore, that too many people have opinions. So while I'm making you uncomfortable with the questioning, have you seen that you're a bit of a dying breed, that the broadcaster who is simply beloved, that there's not a lot of that exists anymore?
No, this whole, you guys, Dan, this whole line of questioning is just kind of, is just is kind of just silly to me. So
Whoa, Ernie, I'm sorry. Ernie, you didn't have to raise your voice. Ernie, you didn't have to get aggressive.
All I've been trying
Ernie, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you and ruin it with this rage you have.
No, all I've been trying to do for 28 years is do the job and realize how lucky I am to do the job, and it's great. And I've learned all that. Look, I learned all that from my dad, who never thought he was special because he had a job that everybody else wanted. And so
that's another thing you do. That's another thing you do.
I'm working with these great folks, and it is just I realize journalism schools are full of guys who think they can do the job better than I can and would love to jump in there right now, but I'm not ready to give the seat up.
Oh,
yeah. There we go.
A little extra ego at the end. Who's trying to take your stuff? Like you get to retire the way Brady does. No, like you do it on your own terms.
Everybody out there would love to be sitting where I'm sitting and talking hoops with Charles and Kenny and Shaq on a nightly basis. They all want to do it, but I'm the guy lucky enough to be doing it.
Ernie, on a serious note, I guess a more serious note here, can you walk us through your thoughts last night? Because there's been a lot of discussion this morning and last night, I guess, after the game, about Allie LaForce and how she handled that interview with LeBron after the game.
This was interesting. You're a nice guy, Ernie. You know nice, and I winced when I heard the question, which doesn't make the question wrong.
And Ernie, I thought you were great. Ernie, I thought you were great when they threw it back to the studio and you clarified some of the questions that people had. Just take us through that, and then take us through your thoughts on LeBron doing what he did, taking some of the heat off Allie LaForce there.
No, I think that she did exactly what you're supposed to do in a situation like that. Allie's a great reporter, and so before that live interview went on, before the production truck said, "Go, you're on," she had mentioned to LeBron and said, "Hey, look, here's what happened with Greg Popovich's wife. Are you comfortable talking about that?" And he said yes. So. Look, she would never blindside LeBron with something like that, and no good reporter would ever do that to a player, and especially knowing the relationship that LeBron has with Pop and the mutual respect they have for one another, and so you're not going to put a guy in that situation. And so she did everything right. And I can see, Dan, I watched earlier today and you said, yeah, I kind of winced when that happened. But I thought it was kind of necessary as it went on to see social media's reaction to say, hey, everybody calm down. Okay. LeBron was told beforehand. It wasn't like he was ambushed with the question. And so, and I salute LeBron too for coming to Allie's defense later after seeing that, there was kind of like an online attack on the question being asked. This is not a question in my mind, guys, too. Look, if Jordan Clarkson had a 30-point game, Allie's not going to ask Jordan Clarkson about the Pop thing. But this is, look, you've got an iconic figure, LeBron James, who had this huge game. You've got, Greg Popovich, another icon in the game. And so the question was appropriate, and it was done the right way without saying, hey, I got you with this question.
I have some other questions about that, though. Again, Ernie Johnson is fundamentally decent man. He's an elder statesman. He is courtesy personified, okay? TNT's live coverage continues tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, with a pair of Game 3s, 76ers Heat, followed by Warriors Spurs. I'm curious just how you navigate, though, this part of it, because are there a lot of other wives? I did not know Greg Popovich's wife. You guys introduced me to her last night, and you introduced me to the suffering, and the connection point was a man losing the woman he loves. We can all sort of, or the partner he loves, we can all understand that. I'm curious, though, how many other figures would get that exactly? Because I did not know who this woman was, and you guys made me care about her. How many other figures like this would get their wife has passed away, let's do a tribute about the wife, even though none of us in the sports community might know the wife?
Yeah, it was, I think that you take a situation like that. It's the same way, too, to me, Dan, when one of the NBA, you get word that an NBA player from years past has passed, and you want to recognize that. The question is, how much emphasis is on. And I think when you take a look at Pop and all the championships and the iconic figure he is, and San Antonio's still in the midst of the playoffs right now, and so this is all happening here. And I think for all the admiration that we have for Pop, there's also a time where you empathize with him, and I think this is where that happens. And for me, everybody was talking about, we know him as a coach, we know him as this kind of a classy guy, and we know him this way. And for me, it was all really kind of brought home when I heard Reggie Miller and Kevin Harlan as they were signing off the game last night, saying, the last time we sat down with Pop before a game, first thing he did before he talked about the game at all was, show a text message or a photo he had on his phone from one of his grandkids saying, good luck, Pop, and that kind of thing. And that's what hit home with me, is that you're sitting here, I've been married 35 years, got 3 grandkids, and one of the great joys in life as you get older is being able to watch those kids grow up, watch your kids be kids. And I thought about Pop, and I'm saying he's going to have to go that road solo now. And that's sad. And when we feel for you, we know that everybody who watches NBA hoops knows Greg Popovich or feels like they know him. And tonight we're hurting with you. And so I think that's kind of what goes into it. That's why it gets the treatment that it does, because he is so well known and so well respected. Again,
TNT's live coverage continues tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, with a pair of Game 3 76ers Heat, followed by Warriors Spurs. Just real quick, because we've got to let you go, are there other people respected like that in your sport? Like, can you name them? Because I can't imagine a lot of people getting exactly what happened last night. Off the top of your head, not to press you on this, Ernie,
Riley or
but
something?
You understand the question I'm asking, right? A basketball figure of some historic importance in real time, such historic importance in real time that we, the sports community, grieve the passing of someone we did not know on his behalf.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's, I think when you think about the legends of the sport and you think of Magic and Kareem and guys, people who aren't playing anymore, certainly. But I hate to just put myself in that situation of saying, let's imagine somebody who has a death in the family. I don't want to do that. But certainly, I think we all know that there were certain guys out there who, when you hear their name, you say, oh, that's, I think people who relate to him are going to want to, share their mourning with him. And I think that was the situation with Pop last night.
He is the best, Ernie Johnson Jr. He's beloved. He really is. And whether he likes it or not, too bad. Too bad, beloved guy. You're beloved. So thank you for being on with us, and thank you for so many years being at the center of the best studio show there is.
Guys, I love your show. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and keep watching our playoff stuff, man. We appreciate it.
All right. Sorry we made it awkward, man.
Yeah.
No, come on, man. It's just I'm the awkward one.
No, I am. No, trust me on this.
Listen. I was covering up. I mean, I had nothing to do with it, Ernie. It was all
me,
Dan.
Ernie. Trust me on this. This was not your fault.
It's Dan.
Yes, it's very much me.
And guys, don't show that nose again, okay? Please.
Okay, yes, it was disgusting. Thank you. How about that intro for Ernie Johnson? How about that intro? Disgusting, vomiting, woman removes her nose. Okay, good television.
Awkward transition. Time for some ads.
Do we do any other kind? As baseball season continues, watch your favorite team climb up the standings this season at Buffalo Wild Wings. You can enjoy the great food and beer as the runs pile up, unless Giancarlo Stanton is batting.
You hear what happened? You hear what happened? The Yankees signed Adam Lind.
What does that mean, though?
That's a power bat.
Okay, that doesn't mean anything. It just means Stugotz had some information that he wanted to use.
That's it.
Don Batard.
Is there any job in sports scarier than kick returner?
I would put hockey goalie in the conversation.
There's sport's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
They're skating on knives.
That's right.
They have weapons in their hands.
You're absolutely right. Let's talk about this for a second.
Stugotz.
We're going to look back in 100 years and be like, what the hell were we doing with hockey? They were skating on swords. And every once in a while, a guy got cut near the jugular.
We're out here upset that they're fighting in between. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Fight is it's a vacation. It's a tropical vacation.
You should be thankful that they're not using those swords they're skating on.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
At Batard Show is where you go if you want to vote on the polls. We have misplaced Barry Melrose. So when we find him, we will shake him off, clean him up. He'll look the same, and we will talk to him. But before we get to the polls, we have Zlatan news. Zlatan is becoming a fan favorite around here because he's arrogant. He's got a hair bun, ponytail. He is publicly arrogant in a way that is charming. We normally don't allow athletes to be that. Conor McGregor is taking the turn from arrogant and charming to fighting buses. Zlatan remains lovable in this country. So what is it that we have, Mike, that's Zlatan related here? Because our show has become a bit obsessed with him. He put out that ad when coming to MLS. MLS very popular with young people, very loud, very fun. He's 36 years old. He's coming off of a leg injury, and he greets MLS by taking out a full-page ad in the LA Times in which he says, "You're welcome. You're welcome that the Zlatan is here." And then his first act as the Zlatan is just an absurd goal from 40 yards away that if it had been done by an actual wizard with an Aladdin's lamp of some sort, you would have been less surprised.
We have a couple Zlatan things. He joined Dan Patrick earlier.
Oh.
Yeah, we're still working on getting him.
Wait a minute.
We don't have that audio, but he was asked about the current state of soccer in the U.S. and the U.S.'s development of...
I want to talk to the Zlatan. Why did Dan Patrick get the Zlatan before we got the Zlatan?
Well, he said, I have my wife. I have my 2 kids. If I was single, I would spread my investment here in the United States, and you would have future legends in soccer. But I'm sorry, I'm already occupied with my wife and kids. So close to having a great soccer nation.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Can we talk him out of this? We could be a soccer nation if we just allow him. What did he call it?
Spread his investment.
Spread his investment.
He also joined Jimmy Kimmel earlier in the week.
What?
Yeah.
Everybody's getting the Zlatan now.
Well, not us yet.
Not everybody.
How's Allison feeling?
Right.
Couple of years, I had my eyes on Los Angeles.
You have,
and I wanted to give them a gift, and I was
like, and it was you.
I was thinking a long time, and then one day it came like I should give myself. And that's why it came up, and you're welcome.
Yes, and of course, Zlatan gave the gift of himself to Los Angeles in a way that tickled the American funny man.
You don't, and maybe this is just some weird preconceived notion, but you don't strike me as quintessentially Swedish. I know you are Swedish, but Swedes are not braggadocious in general, yes?
They're too nice.
They're
I'm not
too
so nice like that.
Is that why you were asked to leave the country?
No. No. I mean, I'm not the typical Swedish guy, but I put Sweden on the map, so...
Yes, of course. There he is. The Stugotz is strong in him. There it is. Sweden before me. It wasn't on a map.
I honestly couldn't find Sweden.
That's right. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Before Zlatan, could you have found Sweden on a map? Go ahead and put that somewhere on the poll. You have more Zlatan sound, Mike? You have more Zlatan sound.
Do you worry at all that your teammates will be will feel like they're in your shadow? They will be offended by your confidence and by all the attention that you get.
No. I make them superstars just like I make you.
No. Wait a minute, Mike. I love his no. To go with to go with Liam Neeson's no. Hold on a second. Hold on. Play that again. Just play all of that again so that I can hear Zlatan saying no.
Do you worry at all that your teammates will be will feel like they're in your shadow? They will be offended by your confidence and by all the attention that you get.
No. I make them superstars just like I make you.
So beautiful. The accent, the face, the thighs, the repaired leg, the hairy repaired leg of Golden Fortune. So let's weave together his no with the most famous no in the history of the show, which belongs to the star of Taken, oddly, Liam Neeson. This is one of the greatest. This is the clip of the year, correct, Stugotz? This year, with the Me Too movement, with everything, this so far is the audio clip of the year.
Well, I think we did it as a Stugotz of the day, and then we said that any other Stugotz of the day had to beat this Stugotz of the day because this is Stugotz at its finest right here.
So this is courtesy of the AP and Liam Neeson, the star of Taken. He's an older white gentleman that became an action star late in life, and he you could say he's been someone who has gotten a lot of male privilege, and so he took up the social cause of women where they should be equal, they should get equal money. But But this is what happened, and you could not have written something funnier in fiction.
There's a lot of discussion about it, and a lot of healthy and necessary discussion about it, because the disparity sometimes is disgraceful.
How do you think we can move past that?
We're starting, and it has to start, and it's starting with these extraordinary actresses and brave ladies, and we as men have got to be part of it. We started it, so we have to be part of the solution.
So would you take a pay cut to kind of equal things out?
No. Pay cut? No. That's going too far. No, there has to be parity. There just has to be.
That he is doing that with no sense of irony is amazing.
Maybe you just think you're going to contemplate it.
Right?
We'll see.
No, but what do you want? Equality? What? No, I was just talking about it. I didn't mean it.
No. Pay cut? No. That's going too far.
What are you talking about? They can have money in general, not my money.
No. Pay cut? No. That's going too far.
No, take it out of that, Jolie's contract, not mine.
No.
Don Le Batard.
I know what you like, and I give it to you to make you a junkie so that you're listening and you can't help yourself on the stuff that I got to force feed you. But I know what you like, and I'll give it to you sparingly just to get you addicted.
Stugotz.
You'll stay right there addicted, and every once in a while, I'll give you smack that you don't like, but that you need. It's medicine you need. It's the whole formula. We know what you like. It's why you're addicted, even though you hate that part of the show.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Oh, bummer. I thought you were going to come back with another Liam Neeson no-thumper. I thought you were going to come back with another one. Too much?
We were fighting about Titanic, actually.
Yeah, big fight.
Yeah, because Chris Cody and I, we love Titanic. We went to the movie theater multiple times. It was a cinematic adventure. You have to remember what movies looked like back then. This budget, it was incredible. Such an escape. Billy's never even seen it.
What? The worst movie in the history of time.
Yeah.
The worst. Yeah. Maybe as bad as that weird movie with the...
Thank you, Allison.
The Wizard of Oz, and maybe
What?
like
The
that.
Wizard of Oz?
That's the worst.
Did you just dismiss the Wizard of Oz
terrible.
as if it wasn't decades, not years, decades ahead of its time?
It's a bad movie. Listen, I'm telling you, Billy, you don't need to go see it. There's a big boat. It hits an iceberg. It sinks. Just about everyone dies except for a lady and a piece of balsa wood. That's it.
There's so much more.
And she's selfish, by the way.
Did you just boil down Titanic to history?
I'm a child.
Spoiler alert, one of the smoke towers falls on Danny Nucci.
What?
Yeah, who, by the way, I found out is from Slovenia or somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was an
It
upset.
just seems like it's 3 hours long, and I know now how it ends, and it's like, what's the point of watching? I'm not going to sit down for 3 hours and watch it.
It's about the journey.
What's the payoff?
What's the payoff? Is the love story.
I mean, it's a terrible ending. There's no happy ending.
No, it is a happy ending because, spoiler alert, they're reunited in the afterlife.
Yes.
Which, by the way, again, we've addressed this. I feel really bad for Kate Winslet's husband, who actually had kids with her and lived as her husband, because when she goes to heaven, she just goes straight to Jack.
All right.
It sounds like it's a terrible message.
No, because
she's having an affair on her husband and she has kids, and then they die together, and she's with this guy that she's known for like 2 days.
No,
why is this a beautiful love story?
Let's be clear. She had an affair on Billy Zane, who she did not want to marry, who was mean.
Right.
So she didn't have an affair on...
Hey, you can't fault her for that.
No.
Wait a minute. So when does she get married? After Titanic's done, she marries and has kids?
She remarries and has kids because...
And she's going to be with some dude she's known for 5 minutes in heaven?
Billy,
it's ridiculous.
She's following Jack's wishes, because when he was on the plank of wood, he said, you're going to get old, and you're going to have babies, and you're going to die an old lady warm in her bed. And guess what? Prophecy fulfilled.
I think she moved on from Jack.
No. She was just marrying somebody else because Jack said... that was his dying wish, and so she probably didn't even love that guy, really.
She loved Jack, who she knew for 5 minutes more than she loved her husband and her kids.
It was
that's Billy Zane, though. I mean,
I'm a child.
It was 5 passionate minutes.
Did she marry Billy Zane, or this is someone else?
No. She was basically promised to Billy Zane.
Where was Billy Zane when this boat was sinking?
He had a child. He pretended he had a child so he could get on one of the boats with women and children first, because Billy Zane in this movie coward.
Wow.
Coward with a really bad hair.
But he left her behind?
3.5 hours.
Well, she was cheating on him.
Yeah, she was cheating.
I don't get the story.
He was like, Rose, come on, let's go, Rose. And Rose shook him off like, no, Billy Zane, I'm going with Jack. I have a child.
Right.
The children were on the ship then. And she's cheating on her husband and children.
No children on
with
There's no children.
Jack.
The only children that are on the ship are the ones that Billy Zane takes. I have a
Right.
child.
Are
Billy
those his
Zane's-
children or not his
No,
children?
he
then?
takes someone else's kid.
He kidnapped someone?
to make it appear like he has a kid. Yeah.
See, now you're
Where are the parents of that child?
Who knows?
But Bill, listen, the Titanic was sinking. I mean, it was a free for all.
Yeah.
Did he raise those children after this was done?
I have a child. Probably not. Probably not. However, there was a really frosty moment where Billy Zane obviously survived the Titanic, and he was looking around for Rose, and Rose was wearing Jack's coat, and she put it over, like, oh, don't see me. They were so close to seeing. Who knows? Maybe they would have patched things up and had kids of their own.
What happened to the child, though, at that point?
That's what I'm saying. Where's this kid?
One of the few loose ends James Cameron allowed.
What do you imagine happened? I mean, think of it. It's Billy Zane. He's a bad guy in the movie. It's a fake kid. It's not his. He's
But
using
is he
it
the
to get on
bad guy?
boat.
She sounds like the bad guy here. She's cheating on him.
Billy Zane's the bad guy. What do you think he did with that kid?
What makes Billy Zane the bad guy? I feel he seems like the victim to me. I mean, granted, I've never seen the movie. He seems like he's the victim of this affair, literally.
Didn't he slap Rose once?
Yes.
That's when we established, like, okay, this guy's
Oh, bad guy, he hit her.
And also, he was just mean to Jack. Like, oh, you don't.
I'd be mean to Jack too.
Well,
He's sleeping with my
obviously-
girlfriend.
Well, you know
Yeah,
what?
but it's
This
not
is-
his
They're gonna be
girlfriend.
friends with him?
Billy, this is a forced relationship, okay?
Yeah, she doesn't want to.
Rose didn't want to be with Billy Zane.
Break up.
They were forcing Rose to be with Billy Zane.
Who's
Right.
forcing her?
Well, her parents, because they were actually going broke, they got used to this very lavish lifestyle. But Kathy Bates, who was new money, she exposed all of this
Right.
because she was calling people out, and she knew Rose's true feelings. And when
Bingo.
Jack didn't know which fork to use,
What did
she
Kathy
was
Bates
there.
do?
She was just new money. She was like this. I don't know, like.
But she's just a random person on the boat?
But she was new money. She was new money.
New money.
New money.
Yeah.
Where did Billy Zane's money come from?
Well, he's old money for sure. We don't really know. Do we know where Billy? I have a child. They mentioned it.
Trust fund, I think.
Probably.
Trust fund. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
See, but you know what? Billy points out something interesting. Like, history won't remember this the same way. Remember when Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan fought over Miss Elizabeth?
Oh, yeah.
And the Mega Powers collided?
Yeah.
As little kids, we were led to believe that Macho Man was wrong. But you watch that stuff back, Hulk Hogan is totally moving in on Macho Man's lady.
Oh, absolutely.
Macho Man is well within his means to be upset at Hulk Hogan. I don't know why Hulk Hogan all of a sudden was a good guy in that exchange.
It just seems like affairs sometimes are okay if you like the people committing the adultery, which is ridiculous.
It's arbitrary morality.
We're sending the wrong message to children.
Absolutely. But you know what? It was a different time. Not just in the 90s when the movie was released, but during the time of Titanic.
I put the diamond in the coat. I put the coat on her.
Wait, there's diamonds involved? There's a heist?
Oh, see, that's
that's all diamonds. That's the whole thing.
Billy, not just a diamond. The heart of the ocean.
What does that
It
mean?
is the diamond.
Yes.
It is the diamond, and the nice little twist, because you think the heart of the ocean is lost on the Titanic, but remember this coat that I told you? Jack's coat?
Yeah.
That she was wearing to keep warm? Guess what was in the pocket? Heart of the ocean.
Oh, really?
Who put it in there?
Wow.
I think Jack.
Whose
might have-
diamond was this? Billy Zane stole the diamond?
It was in Billy Zane's possession, and I think he was just so rich enough that he had the heart of the ocean because.
Oh, because he's just rich?
Yeah,
he was just rich.
Why would she
super
cheat on
rich.
him with this?
Real love. This is real love. She
Well,
found
Jack
real
was
love.
the other guy's
Yeah.
name?
Yeah,
What did he provide?
Nothing.
He brought nothing to the table?
Real love. Yeah, real love. True love.
A bohemian
Love.
spirit.
Right.
A bohemian spirit. He was an artiste. He
Yes.
knew how to paint French girls, and she said, "Paint me like one of your French girls." And she got naked, and he painted her, and then they steamed out a car from passionate lovemaking. So it was like, even though it was kind of because they transported cars. That's how they would do it. Because there were
Cars were on the Titanic.
This was
Cars on
the
the
primary
Titanic.
mode of transportation. The Titanic.
Do you guys, I always had, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. Do you really think the band kept playing as the boat was sinking?
Oh, that's proven in history.
What do you mean it's been proven?
That's the truest thing. That's the truest part of Titanic.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
No, well, the captain actually went down with the ship too. You know what?
No, Captain was to blame.
Well,
Let's
he was
be
to
real.
blame, but you know what? He took his medicine. He could have gotten off, but no. Captain goes down with the ship. I appreciated that. It was a different time back then.
Well, he's stupid.
It was a different time back then. Probably a better time.
I blame the guys that were yapping while they were supposed to be looking ahead. They're just having this conversation. It's like, you're supposed to be watching for icebergs.
And then iceberg right ahead. You could have heard about this 5 seconds ago, you guys.
Yeah. You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN.